It would be very special, and now that my brother Marc is there, even more special. But I'm not in a position now to be very demanding. I don't have 10 offers on the table. Could you see Pau back in a Laker uniform, Mike Bresnahan?
What a great story of redemption it would be, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, he hasn't played in almost 2 years. He's 40 years old now. It was really great to cover him. One of my top 5 favorite people ever to interview, very professional with the media. So many great times with the Lakers. Their fortunes really did turn around in 2008 when he was acquired from Memphis. Got to 3 finals in a row. I'd love to see it happen. I just don't know if it will. He didn't play a lot when he was still playing. He's kind of getting towards the end of his career. It would be a nice symbolic thing, though, maybe later in the season.
Well, first of all, congratulations to Pau and his wife on their lovely baby daughter. And Allie, I am so heavily biased here. Like Brez, I loved covering Pau. Just love Pau in general. So it's really hard for me to take that out of how would you like to have Pau Gasol on your roster? It's like, where do I sign? You know, so without even thinking about the basketball. And I'll leave that to, that's what Rob Pelinka is going to have to figure out. And I know there are some roster situations here without getting too much into it, but a hard cap, and do they want to carry a 15th player up until later in the season, like possibly around January? I don't know the answer to that for sure. But, yeah, I'm just laying my cards on the table. I'm super biased. If Pau comes back in any fashion, I'm here for it.
You'll be the first guy to talk to him.
So there's the one element of just Pau returning because we love Pau. But then there's the other element. Oh, yeah, his brother's here. How cool would that be to see the both of them on the roster together? Yeah, that would be Los Angeles.
That would be amazing for sure. And it's just like there are a couple situations in the NBA, where like the Holiday brothers, Giannis playing with his brother Thanasis in Milwaukee. Like, I'm always here for that kind of stuff. I've got identical twins. Now, they aren't twins, but just the brother thing always hits me with a little soft spot too. So look at me, I'm just emotional today. I feel like I like that press. Calm me down.
Well, I mean, it would be an amazing story. I don't want to dry your tears for you, but definitely something really fun to think about if it did happen. And those two always just kind of missed each other throughout their careers. One going to Memphis, one leaving Memphis. Obviously, the Lakers drafted Marc Gasol way back in the day. It would be cool to see both those guys in purple and gold. Just don't know if it is going to happen.
I was going to give you a Kleenex, but we only have sanitary wipes. So there you go.
Don't put that in your eyeball.
Did I tell you this? During the playoffs, I didn't realize that you weren't supposed to put these on your face.
How'd that work out for you?
Well,
looked like you were crying. Looked like you were emotional.
I'm still here, and then somebody found out, and they're like, wait, it says explicitly, do not put on your eyes. Do not put in your... And I was just putting it all over my face.
Yeah, there's like actual sticky notes. Like, not only does it say it on the packaging, but there's an actual added sticky note, which this is a great segue.
It's my bad.
Sports is a much-needed distraction from what is going on in the world these days. NBA players are aware of the safety concerns regarding the COVID-19 pandemic globally and realize that with no bubble this season, it's all about self-accountability.
It's going to be a lot tougher, to be honest. The bubble, you were safe. Here, you just don't. I mean, the league has sent all these guidelines about not going to, bars and restaurants and clubs and all this stuff, so to try to make it safe for us. But we got to hold each other accountable. Each player got to hold another player accountable. And the player should hold himself accountable just for the simple fact that, you don't want to be able to, go into a season and go into a playoff series or whatever without a guy because of, he was careless about COVID. Now he's quarantined for 10 days. Now you're putting yourself and the team at risk, and you don't want to do that.
It's going to be a lot of pressure because, we did get the memos, and one of the things that was on there where if your kid have games during this time, we can't attend it. That's going to be hard, for guys that like support their kids in the basketball and anything else that they do outside of their home. It's going to be hard trying to support them doing that, and then having a conversation with your wife about her friends. That's more stress. It's a lot, but I figured, since we're back working, I figured that the conversations and like the time that we hang around friends and stuff will be limited because of our job.
I mean, we listen to the experts on what's going on with the climate, as far as COVID, and keep your family in the mask when we leave the house or whatever case may be, and be cautious of where we travel to, be cautious who we're around. Right now you just try to do everything that you can to protect your family. And hopefully you can stay safe and stay healthy. Obviously, that's the most important thing than anything. So, that's what it's been all about. I mean, obviously, we are all hoping that the world gets back to normal at some point, so we can get back to kind of some normalcy, with our kids being back in school. Our kids miss being in school. They're sick and tired of doing these Zoom classes. They love being around their other classmates. They love, being in classrooms and having fun, and I understand that too.
What's our feeling, guys, about the situation with the pandemic and trying to get through the season without any setbacks? Do we think there will be some?
Well, Mike and I are both football fans, and we've seen obviously how bad it's been at the NCAA level, the NFL level, a bunch of cancellations, postponements by these games. It's going to happen in the NBA. It's foolish to think it's going to be as bulletproof as it was in the bubble, which was completely non-permeable, it turned out. It's not the case now. There's going to be traveling. There's going to be mostly empty arenas, which I think is good for now. But there will be shutdowns, individual teams, I would say, obviously some players as well. There will be postponements. You just have to be ready for it. Hopefully it'll be very limited.
Football, were you talking about Wisconsin Northwestern, or was that a different?
Yeah, just when I was getting over it, we have to have Mike on the show today.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was who he was referring to, Ali. And by the way, it doesn't say anything on the front about not touching your face. You have to flip it. All right.
You went to Northwestern and you don't know how to read a kidding.
It was on the bottom. All right.
There were some typos on it. I will say that.
But seriously, in terms of COVID, I think that you hit on it, Mike. Like when you're incorporating not just the players themselves, but all of the next degrees, right? Families and kids and parents, and even if everybody's being safe, it can still transmit much differently than it might have, or clearly it didn't in Orlando in the bubble. So I think that you have to absolutely do your absolute best. And the players, I hope and think, will do that for the most part. They had an experience. They saw last year, right? They saw the reward for being diligent, and that meant they could stay on the floor. And to have LeBron and AD mentioning it so specifically, that's great. There are other franchises that have not had their leaders be that diligent about it and kind of send the wrong message to the rest of the team. So I think they're going to do their absolute best. If it happens, they have the people that can help deal with it. But, yeah, you have to be as diligent as possible.
Absolutely. Well said. And do not put sanitary wipes on your face. No. Still to come, Tyler Hero gave high praise to management and his head coach.
Both of those guys just kind of, keep me in the loop, during the season. Frank is always asking questions about the team. If he's, up in the air about a decision, he comes to me and LJ. Rob does the same thing about the team. Trades, about a guy, if you want to bring a guy in, do we like a guy, do we don't like a guy, how can this guy help our team? So I think that the relationship just, and that trust has just been built throughout the course of the year. From day one, they've been two guys who want nothing but the best for this team, for each player. And like I say, keeping me and Brian in the loop about every single decision, whether it's, with Frank with practice, what do you guys want to do today, how your bodies feel, do you think we should, just, watch film today, how the guys feeling. So, he always want to keep us fresh and keep us sharp, but there's days that we need to work as well, and he talks to his captains about that. And like I say, Rob is always trying to improve the team and keeping me and Brian in the loop. So, for a coach and a GM to always keep, their players in the loop, it just builds that trust with them. And like I say, going through my contract negotiation, I didn't, have to worry about, if the team was going to be, as good as last year, because those two guys know what they're doing and was able to put another great team together.
AD really walking us through that process, guys. He and LeBron are kept in the loop on every decision. Is that unique to have a relationship like that?
Maybe other franchises, but not with the Lakers. I mean, Kobe Bryant and Dr. Jerry Buss, they would talk continually about how to improve the team. Jerry Buss would call him directly and say, what do you think of this guy? We're thinking of trading for him or signing him. So the Lakers have been doing this with their star players literally for decades. So nothing new here. Good to see it's being continued with a new front office face in Rob Pelinka, relatively new. And the foundation is there. Glad it's still happening.
For an average NBA team, this can be a real tricky thing because there are only about anywhere from 5 to 10 each year actual superstar players that play both ends of the court, that are intelligent enough to really be involved in the process. That there aren't a lot in that, but then many franchises have players who they sort of, whoever their best player is, that they feel like they have to be that involved as well. And it's not going to pay off as much if that player isn't LeBron, if that player is not Anthony Davis. Because, again, there are only so many of those guys. The Lakers happen to have 2 of them. So in the case of LeBron and AD, of course it makes great sense. I think Rob and Frank have approached that really well, clearly. And I think that they saw the reward in that by the extensions that were signed last week.
Yeah, it's not like the Lakers, in 1996 were going to Kobe and saying, hey, what can we do for you? Who do you want here? Who should we get rid of? And nor will they do it with Taylor and Horton Tucker this year. You have to earn it. And obviously, AD and LeBron have been in the game for a long time. Obviously, they've earned that kind of two-way street with management and ownership as far as, we'd like to hear about some personnel possibilities.
That's what I think is very important to understand here is it's not a one-sided situation. I mean, you're earning it as players, you're earning it as a franchise, and you're finding and striking that balance in a very, very positive and healthy way. Yeah. Because it could go, and we've seen it go, the wrong direction. Either way.
It's a good point, and I also think there's a balance between consulting and discussing, but then the executive still has to make the final call.
Decision.
And LeBron's been pretty clear, and Ali, you know, of course, going back to Cleveland, where he's like, he doesn't want to be the one that has to make, like, that's not his job. But if somebody asks him his opinion as a smart basketball player, perhaps he can give it to the coach, to an executive, etc. But still, that's ultimately, in this case for the Lakers, it's Rob Pelinka's decision. And I think that AD and LeBron